This is the Amp Hour Podcast. Recorded April 27th, 2016. Episode 296. Gotta update my dog.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble. I don't even remember how to do this anymore. It's been...
Well, it's been longer for me.
too long.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's true. I've been doing this, I've been doing this from the road.
You've been doing this on the road, because I've been on holidays and various other stuff, and you're on the road in Europe, which makes the time zones stupid.
That's screwy.
It's just
screwy times differences.
So there wasn't any point me attempting to join in, I don't think. But anyway.
Yeah. Well,
come in now, live and loud, with a new Rode podcaster microphone. Right. This is interesting. We just discovered, I haven't had much time to play around with it, but I've got to be like an inch or two away from this thing. This is a real top quality mic, made in Australia, by the way, you bloody beauty. But I've got to be, right? So if I go, like, I'm out now maybe 6 inches away, once again, talking directly into it, but it probably sounds, sort of the area, what's the word? Tinnier.
Tinny.
Tinny. So now I'll go back up to it, and there's much more bass. There seems to be, not that there's much bass in my voice to begin with, so yeah.
It'd be interesting if someone ever characterized the act. Like how we have all these adjectives like tinny and echoey and all these things. If there are actual audio signatures, right?
Well, if there was an ISO standard for it, you're talking.
Yeah. Right. The tinny quotient.
Right. Standard 902.1.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway.
So what have you been up to for 4 weeks, man?
I've been busy. I haven't been making many videos. I've been dicking around with various things. I've been trying to find a new place for my packing and shipping, which is not going well. Yep. It's apparently there's not much stock around at the moment, as they like to say in the industry. And every time I go look at something, it's already taken. So getting a little bit desperate.
Yeah. Well.
Anyway. And I actually got out of the lab. I went to record.
Wait, did you see people as well?
I actually met people, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
For what? Did you set it up?
An interview. One of my viewers, Matt, emailed me and said, hey, do you want to interview this guy? This guy is really cool. And, why not? The cool thing about it is he's 105 years old.
Whoa.
He's 105 and he's a hobbyist.
Yeah? Wow.
Yep, he's still making his own boards in his workshop.
That's badass. So wait, how long ago did he start? Did he start like from childhood or?
I mean, he's been like a technician kind of thing. So he isn't like an engineer level. He's like a hobbyist technician type thing. Worked on planes and stuff as you did back during good old WWII. Right. And this guy was born in 1910, and he's still sharp as a tack. Still mows his own back lawn. And
nice.
Just like 6 months ago, he caused a big stir in the neighborhood when everyone saw him up on the roof. And what the hell's going on? He's 104 at the time, and he's up on the roof. Yeah. And he goes, I'm just fixing my antenna. It's gone on the blink, And I'm like, this guy's great.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So, yep. Anyway.
I was really hoping you were going to be like, and you know what is how he's gotten to such a ripe old age?
Yeah, right.
Leaded solder.
Leaded solder. None of that lead-free rubbish. That's right. But yeah, any doesn't use ferric chloride to etch his own boards. None of that ferric chloride rubbish. No, he actually gets a like a chisely, what's the correct term for those?
Like a V-carve bit or something?
A V-carve bit, and on a handle, and actually, carves out his own boards.
Wow.
Yeah.
With like a Dremel, or like, is it like actually
by hand.
Oh, okay. So that probably wouldn't be a V-carve. Maybe just like an X-Acto almost, like a a knife, effectively.
Kind of, yeah. But it looked more like a wood chisel kind of thing, with a very fine point on it. So it might actually be a V-groove thing. I don't know. But,
yeah.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah, and so he makes FM bugs. He loves FM bugs. So he's making all these FM transmitters and putting them all around his house. It's great.
That's really cool.
I know.
When is that coming out soon? Or no?
I'm editing at the moment. It's a bit of an editing nightmare, but
Gotcha.
yeah, I'll eventually get it done.
Okay.
Yep. So it's pretty cool.
Excellent. I look forward to that. We had talked a little bit about that in the past about, especially people that have been in the industry a long time.
Yep.
Kind of chasing them down, Silicon Valley, stuff like that. And I think we've mentioned on the show before, but there is actually, the Computer History Museum did a lot of that stuff.
Oh, yeah. They've got the oral history stuff and all that sort of thing.
Right, exactly. Yep. And that's going to, obviously, that might not be as much of, like this kind of style is interesting because it's more like the common, people that we're used to interacting with,
Yep.
hobbyist people or just really just general enthusiasts on up through, whatever experience level. It sounds like this guy's pretty experienced. But that would be more the top end.
Electronics, though. He's, experienced in mechanical and aircraft stuff and things like that. So he's basically just a hobbyist, but he's still
but still,
he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, so, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool, man.
Yep. I would recommend trying to interview them before they hit those 3 digits,
105,
because it makes it a bit difficult, but he's still sharp as a tack, you know. So his hearing's a bit shot, but which made it a bit difficult to, have a fluid conversation. But once he gets going, awesome.
Good. Nice. Yeah. Great, man.
So we have to catch up with everyone. What's the cutoff date? I reckon 70.
What? As like the target before?
Yeah, before they.
No way,
I think I'm going to be going downhill when I hit 70. I think probably going to have to give up this game.
What's your age now? I think maybe now.
Yep.
No, I don't know. I mean, I think from the capacities of like hearing and communication and stuff.
Your body starts
I think that stuff can keep going. To be honest, I think it depends on the person, really. I mean, like there is
totally.
Yeah.
But going on odds, like most people probably aren't that with it when they start hitting 80 odd. They start.
Man, we're gonna lose like a segment of our older audience here.
Yep, they're all gone. No. But anyway, coming soon to a EEV blog near you.
Looking forward to that.
That's what's been happening? We've got a ton of stuff. It's probably going to be Wank Word Bingo week, because we've got Internet of Things, we've got 3D printers, we've got layoffs, industry layoffs, we've got.
I was thinking before all that, maybe I could talk about the different places in the world I've been. Some of us move around.
Yeah, just brag. Yeah, go ahead. Right.
Well, I got to meet some Amp Hour listeners throughout the world.
You finally met up with Mike?
Yeah, and I hung out with him a bunch actually.
Sweet.
And obviously he was on the show two shows ago. He was on 294, and really that was a great show. Sorry about the audio quality if people were listening to that. I haven't quite perfected the lapel mic thing yet, so I'll keep working on that.
Yeah,
but
shooting in the field sucks, doesn't it?
It does.
/ recording in the field. It's just
Well, especially because I was traveling light. The whole thing, I took one backpack for 3 weeks, so I was pretty proud of that. But
which did you take the what is it, the Samson Go mic? Is that the one you took, or what did you take?
No, I took the H1.
Okay, the H1. Yep.
The Zoom H1. So, but you've done reviews on it, I think, in the past, right?
Yeah. It's a nice little thing.
Yeah, it's great. So I do that, and then I split it out in channels and stuff.
Right.
Before I dive into where I saw, I actually wanted to, since we probably won't talk about it before I leave again, I'm leaving again.
Where to?
So I'll be going out to the West Coast like usual.
Right.
But there's a couple events that I'll be at. I wanted to mention to people. There's an opening of the Design Lab, which is part of the thing that I've helped with a little bit on Pasadena. So if people are in Pasadena, that'll be on the 17th
what Design
of May.
Lab?
It's a supply frame thing. So it's like a nice. It's not like a hackerspace. It's like I don't know. It's like a workshop. It's like a nice workshop where there's residencies and stuff like that.
Yep.
So that's on the 17th if people are in LA, and then Maker Faire is the next weekend. So there's a couple things going on there. I'm actually giving a talk there.
About?
And about your favorite topic, revision control in electronics and hardware.
Yay. Yeah. Oh, packed house for that one.
Hey, man, it's an important thing,
Yep, absolutely.
You could do for a little revision control, Mr. My hard drive crashes.
Right, for all that code I write, I can deal with.
No, this is for PCBs, man. Like this,
like I said, for all those PCBs I do.
Yeah. And then there's always a Saturday night meetup at a bar in San Mateo for Hackaday. And then Sunday nights, Bring a Hack. People know about that one. That's at BJ's Pizza Place. That's always a big event where people come and show their projects and stuff.
I assume Jerry's going to be there?
Jerry's usually there, yeah. A cast of many, many characters. And then I'll be doing one of my meetups on San Francisco the following Thursday. And then finally, the new one is I'm going to Denver the following weekend. So the weekend, Memorial Day weekend, and I'll be doing a meetup on Sunday there. So any Denver listeners or Boulder listeners who want to drive down, wake up out of your pot-infused haze and let me know if you're interested. Just shoot me a tweet or an email. Chris
I've got to ask, what are you doing
in Denver? Oh, just visiting friends. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Might see Mike Osman if he's there. A couple other people I know. So just friends. Yep. So
I don't have any friends. I don't go anywhere.
Well, traveling is you have people in town, so. Yep. Yeah.
The wife's actually traveling next week.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, she's hopping on a plane and buggering off for a couple of days. And
sounds like that's...
Sagan and I are just going to hang out.
Yeah, I was going to say, you get an excuse to... You get to trade that in, It's like the certificate you get to trade in eventually.
Yeah, exactly. I can trade it later for...
Yeah.
Yep.
So, let's see. So, Berlin was cool. I don't know if I mentioned that. I don't think I mentioned that, but was kind of touring around Berlin. Real cool vibe there.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to Embedded today. I didn't realize that Planet Labs has an office out there, so I just heard that today on Embedded. But yeah, kind of a software scene still. Not too much hardware, but a couple of people. We might have one of those guests on sooner than later. Belgrade, I talked about with Mike a little bit, so that was the conference and everything. And then London, that was a great meetup. I have pictures of the meetup on the subreddit. I'll post here. And got to meet a lot of really cool people who came in. Cool projects. Mike obviously brought a bunch of his Blinky stuff. And just good times out there. That was my first time in London, so thanks to everyone who showed up. That was really cool.
Excellent.
Oh, and the London Museum. Holy crap. Did you go to that when you were there? You've been?
Which London museum?
The Science Museum.
Yes, I've been there. It's very cool. They have an entire level devoted to model ships. Well, they did when I was there.
Yeah, right, they do.
It's just just insane.
They have Watt's workshop. I think it was a James Watt, right?
Ah, right, yes. I think they were building one of Watt's engines when I was there or something. Anyway, they were building,
Yeah, they have a whole bunch of stuff there because like Industrial Revolution stuff, like these huge engines like they used to have in the textile factories, and they were always these centralized power plants that then all these belts went off everywhere. Really, really cool stuff. I mean, like all steam engine stuff, but man,
you can't see it in a day. Like if you really want to look at everything, you just can't. You just can't do it.
Although the one thing I still laugh at is that so they have a space section, like a pretty healthy space section there too. And I know I'm going to preface this. I know there was a lot of people working on space stuff in the UK as well. But like the first thing I saw, I like walked in and it was like the space program. We went to space, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, by the way, all this was enabled by Newton's laws of gravitation. And I'm like,
right, okay.
You can't claim just because Newton came up with the laws doesn't mean the UK enabled space.
Space travel, yeah, I know. Well, they've got it,
No, it was just crack me up though.
Yep, that's funny.
Like, yes, that's true.
Well.
Yeah. So, good times were had by all. Thanks to everyone who was nice enough to hang out with me and show me around and stuff. I appreciated that. And we'll have more guests from the area on the show in the future, I'm sure. So
awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Should we move on to more depressing news?
Sure. What's the depressing news?
Well, everyone's being laid off or moving to China or or
nothing new here.
Get in their severance pay cut, or God, where do we start? Let's start with MakerBot, shall we? Yep.
Let's start at the bottom,
happened, folks. Yeah, so we're just going through the Reddit list here, not in sequential order. It's happened as everyone predicted. MakerBot are packing up, moving to China. Not going to be made in New York anymore.
Right, exactly. I mean, to be fair, it's probably just assembled in China, right? I'm sure a lot of their pieces were already made there, but now it's just that final.
Oh yeah, no, of course, yeah, but they were proudly made in New York, and it's
and lauded as such, right? They were,
totally. In
bringing
fact,
manufacturing back, right?
In fact, in the article, there's a photo of like some sort of TV news crew in the background interviewing somebody because they were like a darling. They were like a tech darling company that that the media loved because made in New York and. So anyway, I'm not sure what's moving. I think is it all of it? I'm not sure, but yeah.
No,
anyway.
Well, not all of their production, or not everything, but all the hardware stuff. And they're going to Jabil, which is like a huge EMS company, and a good one. I mean, not a bad one. It's not like it's a bad.
But that's
I was talking to some people on
Yeah.
Twitter about this. Yeah, just because it's a good business decision doesn't mean it's good in general. You know what I mean? Like, it's not good for hardware or people doing interesting things there. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and I think there's a big breakout quote here. I don't know who it's from, but MakerBot isn't the first company to do this, but Brooklyn is part of its identity. So they're okay. Our DNA and our culture very much remains a Brooklyn one. Blah blah. So yep. No,
well,
sorry,
it's kind of like at the top of the show where you mentioned, like Road, whatever the Road.
Yes.
Sorry, I mean, like being like an Australian company, like you said, that's part of the identity, right? I mean,
they're made here. I mean, they've got some stuff made in China, but it's part of the identity. They're proudly it's got stamped on the side, made in Australia.
Right. Right. I mean, like saying that, to have something with zero components that are made in China would almost be impossible, right? Because eventually you're going to have capacitors or resistors or something in there.
No, but they make, I believe they make their microphone inserts here, and they get the metal bodies and everything made. Yeah, the PC, the blank PCB almost certainly comes from China. All the parts, come from wherever. Probably half in China, but
even if something's manufactured, I mean, like we used to make silicon in Austin, and then you go get it packaged somewhere over in Asia.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean? Like,
that was common
and then shipped back down the road to Dell. Like, I mean, like it was not like it's not like this is not a thing that happens a lot. It's there is global supply chain.
Part of the global economy. It's part of the global supply chain. Exactly. So, nothing new, but anyway, so they're gone. MakerBot, see ya. And as also predicted, there were a few little hiccups with the Microchip Atmel merger.
Yep.
Yes, that didn't apparently go very well because it turns out that Microchip promised the Atmel employees that they'd get some generous severance pay, because obviously they weren't going to keep everyone. Everyone knew that, right? That's just a logistical part of merging companies, right?
I guess so. I wonder about that from like thinking about that in retrospect now, because obviously Dialogue was putting a bid in. It's not that there wouldn't be any changes, but like would there have been less overlap? There would have been less.
There would have. There may not have even been any exactly. So as far as the Atmel people are concerned, that the Atmel employees are concerned, then that was probably not the best deal, merging with Microchip. And as it turns out, and then and everyone's finger pointing now, we never promised it, says Microchip, and then Atmel says, yes, you did, and the board didn't know about it, and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, so the Atmel employees are getting screwed. So if any of our listeners are at Atmel and you're, and you just got the chop, or you've heard about that you might be on the cards, please let us know what's happening.
Yeah, and especially if it won't get you ruin your severance.
Well, I don't think it can be ruined anymore, can it?
Yeah, right.
No.
Yeah.
It's and is it a legal entitlement over in the US? I don't think it is it? It's like more of a right. So there's no federal government law mandating severance pay.
No.
Really?
No, definitely not. Yeah, some people get the absolute shaft of just nothing at all.
Right, okay. No, here we have a minimum of, I think it's 2 weeks per year of service or something. That's minimum. Like, So
cool. Yeah, that's bully for you.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So that didn't go well. Huge one, Intel.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
I was like,
I was not surprised by this. Were you surprised by this?
No, but like the scale of it, like 11% of their workforce. That's a lot. That's 12,000 jobs. 11% is like, I didn't know they were in trouble at all. Like, they're not in financial, are they? I don't know. I'm not following.
No, they kind of are. I mean,
Right.
like they've been losing the tablet. I mean, think about think about how many people are using desktops.
I know about
laptops
the ARMs winning, blah blah blah. But
it's not even like ARM. Just think about how people are shifting over to using like tablets as a main input device.
Right.
Like a lot of people are talking about using iPad Pros as like a primary input now. And it's like, I wouldn't personally do that, but for a lot of people, it's great.
For your average Joe, it's probably okay. For me, I was on holidays. I think I tweeted this. I was on holidays recently, and I was trying to do work from the holiday house that we rented.
Mm-hmm.
And, because I had videos queued up and needed to release them and stuff, simple tasks like that, right? And my laptop failed. The Wi-Fi connection didn't work, so I couldn't talk to my Wi-Fi dongle. So I was left with just the tablet, my little Google Nexus 8-inch tablet to do everything. I thought, the phone would be a pain in the ass, but I thought, the tablet would work fine. No, it's just a pain in the ass. You can't do any real work on it. I think you even replied to my work. You even replied to my tweet. Saying
you were trying to do video stuff on a Nexus?
No, not video. I was just trying to release videos, trying to do WordPress stuff. I was trying to go to Google and enable a video, check comments, all that. Do the usual stuff. And it was just it took me 2 hours to release a video. It normally takes me like 5 minutes.
Yeah, right. I see.
It's so painful. Anyway.
Yes,
tablets suck is what I'm saying. For real work.
Right. Yes, that's correct.
You and your sarcastic remark.
Well,
I can't remember what it was, but
I don't need. I've been a little sleep deprived for the past couple weeks.
It was one of those drunken tweets, was it?
Yeah, yes, all of them are.
Anyway, sorry, you were saying? You were going to comment?
Nope. Maybe just about tablets. I don't know. Like it's just a shifting in general. Like Intel made their money based on captive audiences with especially with like pairing with Windows and stuff like that. And as market shares fall, of course it's going to hit their stuff. It's not going to. I mean, even if it flattens out though, that ends up hurting them, right? It's a scale game kind of thing. And
but I thought they were branching out in all areas, so I didn't know how they were doing financially. I didn't know it was that bad that they had to cut 11%. So I just don't follow it closely. So
I don't either. That's the thing, and but it's just like it's one of those things where it's like one of their broad base. They have a lot of high end stuff with like server chips, and they have a lot of low end stuff with like they're trying like the Curie stuff and the wearables and or even just the low end
and the
Celeron
Atom processors and all that
Atom
sort of stuff.
And stuff like that. Yeah. Like the EE PCs never really. Those kind of all went away. They got replaced by tablets too. And so you just think about the spread of their product portfolio, and it's like, if their middle chunk is their biggest chunk, and you start to eat away at that,
right? Then,
yeah.
Anyway, so once again, if we have any listeners who are caught up in the Intel layoffs, let us know what's going on. Who's getting the ass? I mean, which is it like just like totally across the board, or are they axing divisions? What are they doing?
The thing that scares me about these kind of situations, so like, okay, so Intel's up in Portland as well, and they have a bunch of places
everywhere, aren't they? Yeah.
But thinking about like, okay, so like Portland, right? You go up there and you talk to people that are like talking about Tektronix back in the day, or other big, just like as these giants kind of fall. It's not like there's a lot of new stuff coming up behind it. You know what I mean? Like it used to be like, Fairchild or not? What was it? Fairchild that was flagging, and then that created the Trader Say that whole thing. Back in the old days, one giant falling meant 8 more started up, kind of thing. And there's nothing like that anymore. It's not like
not to the same scale, but
no. I think
as an
I
Intel,
think here's the thing though. Like, okay, so when you really start to look at it, the thing that scares me is actually just the pay scale of the people that are getting laid off, right? So obviously they're going to want to try and lay off people that are high margin, stuff like that. But okay, so now imagine that 11,000 people, right? Maybe there's 1,000 hardware or hardware-centric people, right? And they need a salary that can support them in the area and blah, blah, blah. My fear is that it would be, okay, well, what can we do? I have skills in hardware, but also I do some software. Is that the only thing that could ultimately support those people in a future role is software? And then you start to that starts to erode the hardware knowledge base in general. Even if they wanted to get a hardware job, there's just nothing else there because of geography and reality.
Well, that's a geographical thing. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. But I mean,
if
also,
you move
when
there and base your, life there because on that one job, then, well, yeah, if you lose your job, I mean, that's,
Sure. But if there's not any other, like, so usually there's, so like Silicon Valley is an example, obviously a very extreme one, but like usually there's other ones you can move around to and stuff like that. If you're in an area where it's, one main employer, and if you don't have the capabilities to sell a house and move away and stuff like that, then that really starts to limit options,
Yeah. You can be in strife.
And obviously I feel for the people like on a personal basis, but also from the the broader basis of the hardware segment, right? That starts to lose more and more talent in the workforce, and I don't know what the ultimate issue that causes, but it's probably not positive for the hardware side of things.
Well, maybe they can go and join Electric Imp. They just got $40 million in round something or other funding.
That was a great try at a segue.
No, I know, failed. Let's go back.
I don't think it was. I mean, like, I don't.
No.
Yeah, I mean, like, so this is the reason. I mean, like, this is a practical thing that I talk to young engineers about too, in terms of like
young
mobility.
engineers, says Chris Gamble.
Says the guy who's been in it for 10 years. Yeah, man. So 10 years is a lifetime in electronics, right? I mean, like, in terms of like.
Yeah, well, I've been
these days it is. I think that's the thing. I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, okay. No, once you hit that 10-year mark, basically on your resume, you're considered a senior, engineer.
Right. Right. If you're not moving up in a technical role, you're probably moving laterally to a managerial type role or something like that, or a different industry or something. So, but what I talk to people about is like in this case, right? Intel is a huge employer. But now someone who's like working in a fab there, if they get laid off, what are their options, right? They can go move to Albany, right, to work for Global Foundries. They can move to there's nothing left. There's nothing really left in Silicon Valley. They can move to Arizona, where there's a couple of microchip fabs left. They can move overseas, which is probably very difficult. There's Germany, Dresden, I think, has fabs. That's where Global is too.
You can move to Australia and work at our one fab.
Yeah, right. But I mean, that's what I mean. Like, it's just like that whole talent base. Then.
Yeah, I know. It's So
I guess they have Hynix up there still. Is Hynix still up there?
Well, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Speaking of the what kind of people are being laid off? There's a big to do with the IBM layoffs at the moment. They reckon they're illegally laying off people 60 plus. Or 50 plus or something.
Like ageism?
Ageism. Yeah, and they're trying to use all these legal avenues to actually avoid being caught doing it. But apparently, like a good lot of them, or the majority or most, are the old employees because they don't want to pay out their 401k or whatever it is. The other.
We have over here.
Yep. So, apparently that's a big deal, and that's extra rough. So.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the onus is on the people that are getting laid off to prove that too, which sucks. But that's a big deal.
But they're forcing them to sign a non-disclosure agreement and can't sue them, blah blah blah, because IBM have the best lawyers in the world. You can't. Yeah.
Right. That's what happens when you're a solutions company eventually.
Right.
Right. Well, and I think so. Ultimately, what this brings up in my mind is just that what is the future of hardware people in general, right? This is relevant to people we're talking about. I mean, I think it is.
Here comes the doom and gloom, folks. Doom and gloom merchant Gamel.
No, I don't think so. I think it's just that it's small. I mean, it's so I often talk about the term I use is the solos, like people who are consultants fall into that, small companies. Even like you mentioned, Electric Imp just raised a butt ton of money. But like even them when they were starting up, like the small companies.
Well, that's the thing. I don't like gone are the days when you work for the one company for 20 years. I think
exactly.
it's like and my recommendation is that you probably shouldn't. 2 or 3 years looks decent on your resume. We've talked about this many times before. It looks decent. Anything less than a year, if you're skipping jobs in less than a year, then that looks bad on your resume. People, aren't going to want to hire you. But, you stay at a couple of years at a place and then move to something fresh. And that seems to be the thing, because a lot of these startups are failing. I'm not going to say that the Electric Imp is going to fail, but here's another one of our stories which I'm going to beautifully segue into right now, and that is Nest, right? Nest are they're like going down the toilet, right? Rumor has it that everyone's leaving, all their people are leaving, and they haven't released a product since they got bought out by Google for the ridiculous $4 billion, which we, laughed at for like an entire hour. And it, will they go bust? I mean, but a lot of people are leaving. They're just not happy there anymore, etc. And that is not uncommon, because 9 out of 10 startups are going to fail. Yeah, you get this great job at this exciting new startup, and boom, 2 years later they're gone. Or significantly changed enough that you don't want to be there anymore. You know?
Well, and I guess that's another thing though. Thinking about hardware people is they're going to be leading edge, right? Because like a hardware company like a Nest or an Electric Imp isn't going to be much until it has hardware to play with and hardware to develop on, right? And then you bring in obviously firmware engineers are often brought in at the same time. You want to sit next to them and work with them at the same time. Me and Omer talked about that, but but then API developers and software people on top of that, and then you start building out platforms on top of that whole thing. By the time that's happening, you're already 3 or 4 revs down the line in hardware, right? So that makes it. I think that's another characteristic of future hardware people is leading edge. They have to be early at the company because that's when all the interesting stuff happens, anyways.
Yep.
And then when it gets boring, you jump to the next one. So it's
Jump ship now, folks. That's what we're telling you.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Well, see, that's it. We hear about this all the time. These, startups, and they get bought out, and then everything changes. And we just talked about at the beginning with MakerBot. People might have loved that MakerBot was done in New York. Now, boom! A couple of years, 2 or 3 years later, boom! They're off to China, and the look and feel has changed. Later,
but
I don't know how many years, 4 years or something. But that's
they started in 2008.
Yeah, but when did they get bought out?
Oh, like that. Okay.
Yeah,
I see.
exactly.
Yeah, but that place was going down the toilet way before that. Yeah.
Anyway, so it's just the nature of the business, really.
I guess so. I mean, I think that in terms of people some people don't want to do any of that stuff though. They don't want to chase jobs every couple of years. They want a stability kind of thing. I know a couple companies like that.
Yeah.
But you're going to give up probably salary growth for stability, stuff like that. If you really want to dig into problems too, it's pockets of stuff, right? My friends at Keithley are still doing interesting things, I think, but it's tough to do that kind of thing. And same thing with, I mentioned Tektronix before too, right? You can sit there and you could do these interesting projects at these large companies, but there's a trade-off in that you have to kind of deal with more stuff, big company stuff for a longer time, right? And it's
crap. Exactly.
Yeah, and it's not just those two either. Obviously, it's a lot of stuff. Yeah, you've said you've done it too, right?
Yep.
If you want to chase interesting problems, I have a friend that ended up going from the crazy life to a much more stable, quote unquote, boring job, but actually to learn from some graybeards. He specifically targeted those graybeards because he wanted to learn more from them. And I think that you will never go wrong with that. You might deal with crappy companies, but man, you will always make the right choice if you go to somewhere where you can find people that are a lot smarter than you and go learn from them. That is totally worth it
because Agreed.
I mean, that's one of the struggles I have being on my own in a basement. It's just
it was always the way. For many years there, I was the electronics guy at the company. It was like, well, who's better than me? Like nobody. Who can I learn from? Nobody. I'm it.
Yep.
Right. Like, yeah, it's kind of sort of okay in a way, but then you just wish that there were other, there was nobody
it almost
to
forces you
talk
to
with.
a bigger company in general, because you need, like, in order to have someone that's your superior in the same area, right? So thinking about my experience of analog, right? I was on a team of like 6 or 7 people, but I was still the only analog guy. I needed to go somewhere that was big enough that had 2 or 3 analog people or multiple projects going on, that there was a couple analog people to learn from. Same thing for the firmware people, or you start learning firmware from the firmware person. Like, that stuff's really helpful too, but you do have to target slightly bigger teams, unfortunately. Yep. That's kind of the downside to a startup type mentality of who do you learn from?
Got it.
If only there was a podcast people could listen to.
Don't know where you'd find such a thing.
If only we talked about technical content.
So we've done Intel, we've done Microchip, we've done MakerBot, we've done Nest.
Yeah, that Nest story is shit too.
Actually, what do you mean it's shit?
No, just like the thing they did. So that story was about how they. I mean, yes, they're going down the tubes, but also they killed one of their products.
Yes, haven't we talked about that? Yeah, that's right.
That was long ago. It might have been we might have talked about that.
I think we might have talked about it, but they did the dick move and killed their Internet of Things. What is it? The home automation?
The Revolve,
thing.
I think it's called.
The Revolve, is it? The home automation thing? So all these poor, suckers now, I guess, who bought into this thing thinking, automate my home, I'll wire this in, and everything will be cloud-based, and wonderful. Isn't this Internet of Things great? Wah. No, the Internet of Things is not great. It's crap if you tie into the cloud, and they pull the plug. Gonski. Yep. It's almost inevitable. It's like it doesn't matter. Like,
we must have talked about that. I think I remember this conversation.
You can buy I guarantee you, anything you buy right now, Internet of Things, cloud. If it's cloud-based, right, it relies on a service on the internet to work, right? Be it cloud or whatever it is. Right, it relies on the company. I guarantee you, it's not going to be around. Well, you'd be lucky if it's still around in 10 years' time. I guarantee it's not going to be around in 20 years' time. So if all your light bulbs in your home require the internet, a service on the internet to work, they're just at some point they're just going to stop working.
Right.
They're just going to fail.
I'm surprised there's not more like self-hosted type solutions of like, one click, set up your server on like an AWS instance type thing, and then you own it, you maintain it. That I mean, I know
locally,
that it's not easy. It's not, well, not locally, but like, clonable.
No, locally. If I'm going to automate my house, I don't want it to rely on the freaking internet. I want the processing to be locally.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking like, okay, I have a device out in the my dog is lost and it has to talk to a cell tower, and then the cell tower talks. Yeah. Usually we talk to an internet service, and then I could ping that internet service. Right. But like at some point, I want to host that internet. I don't actually want to, but I feel like I have to, because if my dog lives till 15 and the service only lives till 5, the last 10 years, I got to upgrade my dog.
I think people have the wrong model. This, everyone's going, put the service on the cloud, right? And it can have some great benefits. I use lots of cloud services, right?
Sure.
But
me too.
But for things that don't really require it, you're just doing it because it's the latest flashy thing to do, and especially if it's a product that's going to have a long lifetime, which is generally stuff around the home or things like that, that you
I think it's a hammer problem, right? It's like a lot of these things get developed by JavaScript type people and from a server level, and it
flame war there. JavaScript type people.
No, seriously. I mean, web-based tools, right? And web-based tools are going to be using web-based services, like something set up on AWS, and that's scalable and everything. And and also they want to serve a need with a paid solution, and that's where the money is. So I mean, like, there's no money in. So if I have a cloud service, and then you say, "Oh, I want to host this on my home server," like on my router, my Wi-Fi router or something, right?
Right.
There is a one-time sale for me to sell it to you for $20.
Yeah, no, it ruins their whole model.
Or I could sell it to you for $5 a month, and it still seems like a good thing, right?
Exactly. No, that's But please stop developing all this stuff that. If there is an option to make it local processing, then make it freaking local processing and just have a feature that connects to the internet. Oh, yeah, it can. But when it 100% relies on the internet, I can't see the reliability of this thing changing. The internet is still inherently unreliable. Connections are unreliable. And I can't see it changing in the foreseeable future for decades.
In my case, it's reliant on Time Warner Cable.
Right. Okay.
Biggest pieces of crap in the universe.
Right. You may as well use a piece of wet string, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Please. Oh well, no. If you want to do it, fine. If you want to develop a company and a product that does that, fine. But just like consumers, be aware. Like, don't bitch when the thing fails and they stop doing it. Yes, what Nest did is a dick move, right? They said, no, your router's no good anymore. When they could have just left it there, right? But no, we're going to shut it down. You know, like.
Well, and so like I remember. I think Jack Gansel was on Embedded talking about it, but he was talking, or maybe it was in his newsletter. He was talking about Embed and like the fact that that's still
right.
Cloud connected. And like, now don't get me wrong, I've tried it since, and it's really, really convenient.
Mm-hmm.
But the same thing where it's like, man, that might change.
Yeah,
at some point.
Exactly. They just shut it down. Isn't the new version? I haven't tried it. But isn't the new Microchip 1 cloud-based now?
Oh, they're new. I think that there's like a cloud-based compiler or something too.
There's a cloud-based version of their MP
I'll
Lab
have to look that up.
system, I think.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, but
you said Microchip 1? Is that the thing I
could
should
be,
search?
yeah. That's their new wank term for it, is it? Yeah.
Marketing.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So one of the things I saw in London,
I might have to use it soon because my new product uses a PIC. So.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Anyway.
So one of the things I saw when I was in London was that same idea, but actually at the local level. So Tom, one of the guys that was there, he did this really cool thing, and apparently this exists for the BeagleBone Black as well. I didn't realize, but basically the same kind of thing where it's like a script that just kind of monitors and then hot loads when you save a file. It hot loads it to your device. And I think the thing is, like, Embed is interesting because it enables a lot of beginners, right? It's basically saying, write your code, compile it, and then it just automatically, it's a pretty quick drag and drop type thing. But if you can do that at the local level, then by, he basically recompiled the kernel for the Raspberry Pi. If you can do that and enable that kind of same thing, then I feel like that's the kind of localized version of like an Embed style product.
Right,
Not saying these are new things, but it was the first time I had seen it in person, and it was really, really cool. I have a video of it on the, I'll put a video in, but it's called, what's it called? Raspberry Pi. It's the, Pi Shift.
Right.
So,
okay, yes. Saw that on the list.
Yeah, so really, really cool stuff. Like that, and like it solves the same. It's the same thing where it's like it solves the same problem, but it takes out the internet layer, right?
Yay!
Yeah,
Someone's
right.
thinking,
yeah.
It's definitely the way to go.
I still need to find that BeagleBone one because I didn't realize that happens. The same thing can happen there. So, yeah.
I've been playing with my Raspberry Pi lately. I did a video on that.
Oh yeah, what'd you do?
I'm now searching for aliens. I'm using the SETI at home thing. I'm a bit obsessed with the SETI at home thing. I'm now thinking, where can I set up all of my dumpster PCs to just run 24/7?
Oh god, what a waste of energy.
Crunching.
I mean, it's not really a waste of energy, but like those things are not very efficient.
Oh well, no. But I was going to do it. Hey, at home, right? I currently don't have a solar power storage, right? So I'm exporting some to the grid, right? So I'm only getting 6 cents a kilowatt hour for that, right? So I'm effectively I'm not pissing away the energy. Somebody else uses it on the grid, but I figure,
right, but
hey,
you're losing all the money in between, right?
Yeah.
You're willing to pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. So I figure, why don't lousy 6 cents a kilowatt hour? So I can buy electricity effectively at 6 cents per kilowatt hour. which is dirt cheap here in Australia, right? It's like one quarter of what it costs.
Usually 50 usually.
So, but you can argue that it's free because it's coming from the sun during the day. So I thought, I'll set up all these servers at home in my old lab, and I'd set up timers so that they only ran during the day, but maybe I could have like a solar insulation thing that it only switches on when it reaches a certain power output, and
Oh, that's cool.
All that sort of
I like that.
But yeah.
I have not watched that video yet, but I saw it. So
anyway, it's just setting up your Raspberry Pi to run the Boink software.
Got it.
I
used to run that stuff all the time. I remember I used to do that for my old PC, and then
I think I did it once, like when it first came out, like when all the rage in like the early 2000s or something. Everyone was,
This is like 2002, 2003. Because there was another one that did. It was searching for like molecular matches, like potential match sites for like drug delivery stuff.
The great thing about the Boink software is that you can, once you install the Boink software, you can then choose to run any one of like 20 different experiments. You can do computing for the for the Large Hadron Collider, or you could do for cancer research or whatever. It's
really okay. So it's generic
great.
now.
It's generic software that allows you to tie into. So everyone has now
Dave, it's connected
service.
by the internet. I'm just saying,
It is connected.
You have to hate it.
but it processes locally. That's the idea, right? It processes locally, and it can chug away. If you lose your internet connection, it's still going to chug away in the background.
That's true. Yeah,
doing
it's downloading big blocks of blocks
exactly.
of data.
It's only sending and receiving in spurts.
Yep.
So, yep. Anyway, I'm kind of obsessed with that at the moment. So I thought about building a Raspberry Pi supercomputer cluster, but ultimately it's probably not going to be as good as a single Intel Xeon, processor and a big GPU chip. So
that's an interesting back and forth. I went to a professor's office when I was in Belgrade, and we were talking a little bit about that, kind of like the parallel processing stuff. They were actually using FPGAs and selling those solutions to basically like people that needed a lot of parallel processing. And even with the GPU versus FPGA stuff, it seems like the power consumption ultimately is what comes down to it. I think.
It's always MIPS per watt. That's
MIPS
what it
per
comes
watt,
down.
Right. Right.
That's the figure. You can, if it's aside from cost, it's MIPS per watt. Power consumption, because you don't want to.
Well, eventually that line will cross over, right? The fixed cost of the hardware will cross over with the variable cost of the power. So yeah. So has no one done like an FPGA type thing for this, or is this like the tasks are so different that they
have been meaning to do some research on that? I have not looked if anyone has a dedicated FPGA solution for the Boink software. I don't think so, because it's probably like different algorithms for each.
Yeah, you probably need at least like 20 or more.
Yeah, so
setups kind of thing.
Yeah. So anyway, but it does support various GPUs though. So so if you've got a high-end graphics card, so I've got a dumpster PC with a mailbag high-end graphics card here, and it's currently churning away, doing SETI research in the background here. So.
And I think that's ultimately what it comes down to, is that if you have people that are just kind of, it depends how long you do it for, of course, but the upfront cost of a GPU is probably much lower than an FPGA solution.
Right.
So makes a lot of sense for people that are getting into it. You're going to have fall off in terms of people continuing on. So GPU makes more sense to start with.
For me, it basically comes down to how much the power and the internet costs, because I'm getting all these PCs for free in the dumpster.
Right,
so
right, exactly. Right, but you're not the normal case. I'm
not.
Most people are.
Most
doing
people
what you're
don't
doing.
have a dumpster gold mine.
Right.
Yeah. Speaking of which, somebody was dumpster diving. Beautiful segue again.
Yeah.
Yep. At the Large Hadron Collider, were they not?
Oh, I didn't read that one, but I saw there was a thing about that. What was it? The only thing I've seen about the Hadron Collider recently is I saw they dumped a bunch of data on the internet. I saw that 300 terabytes.
3 terabytes or something worth of data. Yeah. Anyway, it's from the Inverse website. I've never heard of it. Anyway, somebody posted a Neil Patel posted a thing about they were dumpster diving outside the CERN center, and they've got a photo of just a dumpster with some cable and some weird looking.
I can't even imagine what you find like that would be useful, other than lots of copper and
right,
magnets and stuff.
So,
also, they have pictures of radiation symbols.
Yep,
so
yeah, great.
Be careful, folks.
Be careful where you dumpster dive. But
yeah,
yeah, that's cool. I approve.
Definitely. Well,
and
have you been like dumpster diving, or just your mail room or your junk room diving?
Oh, I've been dumpster diving at the companies I've worked for and universities and things like that. Yeah.
Like dumpsters full of PCBs. You jump into something like that?
Oh yeah, bloody oath.
It's sharp, man.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I've cut myself many a time in the old dumpster. Yep. And I've got another beautiful segue. It's just a segue-a-thon.
Mm-hmm.
Right? These configurable analog chips compute with 1,000 times less power than digital, apparently. What are these chips? I haven't looked, but they're field programmable analog arrays. Right.
Yeah, we've talked about these before, and Georgia Tech does a bunch of stuff with it.
Who do you buy this from? Who's making these chips?
I don't remember.
Some newfangled startup?
No, well, this is Jennifer Hessler. I've tried to get her on the show before. If anyone knows her, I'd love to get in contact. I've tried to get her on the show before, but yeah, I think that they're doing some of their own stuff, some of their own fabrication. I know they have a fab on campus.
Oh, okay, right.
Cool. I think there are a couple FBAAs out there. This is still pretty early days, to be honest. I mean, this is like one of those like 10 plus years kind of things. I think maybe I'm wrong, but
no, that's fairly typical for something new like this. Before you get
for research,
research before it hits Mouser and DigiKey for one-off quantities.
Well, and I think there's like I mentioned before, there was the kind of like the FPGA versus just raw cyclical processing on stuff. Mm-hmm. That's kind of been the trade-off for a long time. Like FPGA custom logic versus GPU type stuff with parallel processors and just crunching on stuff. And I think we're swinging back towards the programmable side of things. But like we talked about, I think the last time we talked, they're running out of process room. Now that isn't guaranteed to hold up over time. Like Moore's Law probably isn't actually dead, but
it's on its deathbed.
It's definitely, it's got a cough.
It's got to do more than that, I think. Come on, Moore's Law's over, right? Come on.
Well, no, the thing I think about is even
Moore's Law as we knew it is over.
Sure, but I mean they've parallelized a lot of things in the past before too, right? So like if you even look at how they did memory technologies like Flash, right? So what they did before is they went from 1 bit in each cell, and then they basically said, well, why don't we have, instead of one state on, or one on or off state, let's have 2 states effectively, and then we can get 4 outputs as well. And you start to double your logic type thing. So that's like SLC versus MLC type stuff. And I am guessing that eventually that's kind of like the analog side of things seems like it's the natural progression of if you didn't have on or off is very binary, obviously. Mm-hmm. And then you could go to 4 levels, and then you could go to 8 levels or 16 levels or 32, right? And you can expand it out, and eventually you get towards the analog computer type thing where you say, well, now it's no longer 0 or 1, it's 0 or 0.21564, right? And then you could have that
but multi-level, multi-threshold, whatever the term is, logic is still digital logic. I mean,
of course. But that's what I'm saying is that the progression from multi-level to very high multi-level is eventually analog, right? Eventually
No. The topology still remains digital. You just quantize it, finer and finer. It's the inherent topology is still, the inherent processing topology is still digital.
Well,
the underlying mechanism is analog, just like regular TTL logic is still analog, right? Because it's 0 to 5 volts, right? What's the difference between regular TTL 0 to 5 volts and one that has 10,000 steps in there? Nothing, right? Effectively,
you're right.
it's still digital.
You're right. If you're just detecting, you're right. That's still just digital.
It's still digital computing. There's a difference between analog computing and digital computing.
That's correct. Eventually, you start doing math operations using analog values and
Right.
dealing with the
That's a
interim
different
stuff
thing.
there.
That's correct.
Yes, that is a different thing. You're right about that. So, yeah.
So Dave's
I
right
guess
again. Let's move on.
Dave's right once in a while.
In a blue moon.
Yeah. Actually, so when I don't know if you mentioned it, but when we were in Belgrade, me and Mike Harrison and Mike Stish, we were walking around. There's a Belgrade museum that I think we mentioned when he was on, but there was a bunch of old analog computers there, and the panel was off the back of one of those things.
Nice.
And holy shit!
Yep.
Yeah,
I know that's scary.
Smell. You know the smell, right?
Yeah,
it's
I know the smell.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about doing a video, trying to tee up a video on electronic smell.
Oh yeah,
Let's just leave it at that.
Okay, I like that. That's a good teaser. Yep. But just taking a look at like all that stuff, like how they actually did the people don't know. We were talking about this a little bit when we were standing around there, but like op amps is operational amplifiers are talking about math operations using analog voltages, right? That's where that all comes from.
Exactly.
And just think, like, it gives me a panic attack thinking about having to actually compute using that. Like, I love me some op amps, but I like doing it from like one operation or two operations, like filtering and stuff like that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't want to be doing math like that.
A little bit of differentiation or integration or something, But,
holy crap.
I know. Yeah, to do a whole computer with it is,
Yeah, and then I was taking pictures with my smartphone, like of this old analog computer, like my brain was like going crazy. It's like, oh, this is so weird, like just the scale difference of computing, of taking a picture of an analog computer with a smartphone is it's crazy.
Oh goodness. I must mention, I'm at the moment, my microphone, because I don't have a shock mount for it, is sitting on 3 National Semiconductor linear data books, volumes 1, 2, and 3.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Those are classics.
They are classics. They've even got my original contact on them. I covered them in contact when I was a kid, where, like your school books, you cover them in the contact and the...
like contact paper. You're saying? I thought you meant like it had like a
contact plastic.
like a contact for the guy who dropped off the book.
No, that's like I think that's like a brand name here of those see-through book, those sticky book coverings. That you.
Yep.
Anyway.
Wow.
Maybe I can take a photo, tweet a photo.
You old.
Me old. Yep.
Yeah.
I knew they'd come in handy. I knew I kept them for a reason. Hoarding's worthwhile, folks.
So how goes the multimeter? You're the multimeter maven, right? How's that going?
Oh, my multimeter. I'm still got backlogged.
Yeah, nice.
I'm still totally backlogged. Oh, what are you talking about?
No, the sales and stuff like that. You have a couple other mystery products coming out still, right?
Yes, I do, and which is why I'm desperately in need of. I have found someone to do packing and shipping for me. Somebody who applied for the job previously, David Two's job. So he's agreed to come in and do some packing and shipping for me. So that's great.
Nice,
and
nice.
I just need a dedicated space to do it now because as I said, I'm going to reorganise the lab here, knock some walls out, and gain bigger space that way. So, but that all hinges on getting rid of my packing and shipping from here.
Gotcha.
Logistics.
Gotcha. The lab clear out.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so that is today's task. I'm going to go inspect a place after this show. I'm going to tee up a time to. Yep. It's all happening.
Yeah, man. Dave, the multimeter
crazy.
maven.
I actually feel bad because everyone's back ordered these things. I've been sitting on them for months. I've had stock here. Like I posted a photo of, I got in 20 boxes worth of meters, right? And I've been slowly trying to do it myself. But there's only so many you can pack and ship a day without, dedicating, full time to it. And I'm amazed at the amount of consumables.
Context shifting.
You always run out of bloody consumables.
Like what?
Pouches, courier pouches, the satchels that you put them in. You run out of paper for your damn printer to print the 20 million bloody invoices and shipping labels and stuff like that. You run out of labels for your label printer. You run out of this and that. You run out of damn ink in your pen to sign the things. You run out of prepaid satchels. You run out of, it's like, logistics.
Nice. Well, I have been, let's see, so that's what you've been doing. I've been, I don't know if you saw, I released 2-minute topics. Have you seen those things?
I have not seen your 2-minute topics.
My little bite-sized chunks of...
Is this on your channel?
It's on the Contextual Electronics channel.
Contextual Electronics channel.
Public videos, but yeah.
I am not subscribed to your channel.
Try and race... Oh, that's okay. race through some complicated ideas in 2 minutes, which is not easy.
Oh, yeah, no, I did see that. I saw it on Twitter. I think you posted one on Twitter, and I went and had a look, and I thought,
I posted one a while ago.
That's a cool idea,
so.
Yeah. No, I have seen that.
So there'll be more of those. And if people have suggestions, I'd love to hear them. Yep. I have a long list.
I almost thought at the time, I would love to do that, because I've occasionally done that. Like, I've done like a 2-minute tip on, a video, like a...
You've never done 2 minutes.
I have done 1 and 2 minute tech tips. Go look at my channel. You stole my idea.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll pay you a royalty once I...
And I've been thinking about doing that again because it's cool, but you know how much effort goes into making a 2-minute video,
Not as much as yours, but yes.
So what, do you demonstrate something in 2 minutes, or do you just waffle on about a topic for 2 minutes?
Depends on it. So like for Vias, which might have been the one you saw, I used Tinker Toys.
Okay, yep. Got it.
But showing examples and just kind of giving people a little taste.
I do like bite-sized content like that.
Yeah, I think it's reality for our world these days.
Yeah, exactly. The short attention span market, which I'm not catering for, which is why, I should set up yet another channel, 2-minute Dave or something,
Yeah, right.
Yep.
So like I said, if people have suggestions, I'd love to hear them.
Cool. Although I can imagine you'd have no shortage of stuff, but it is no shortage of ideas. But it is nice to be fed ideas, because then it's it gives you.
It's also like what people actually want to hear.
Well, it's what one person wants to hear. I get that all the time. I do a Fundamentals Friday, and all the feedback I get is just, "Can you do this? Can you do that?" Which right. Everyone wants something different, so.
Of course.
But it gives you the motivation when you get somebody suggesting something. It goes, then it spurs your imagination and your enthusiasm. You go, I'll go do that now. I can do that, and off you go. So, whereas you come up for your own ideas, you tend to get a bit lazy and go, I'll probably do that next week, and then next week that doesn't happen. So,
yep. So what else is going on? Anything else? You've got. Well, you got your stuff you got to go do, but...
I'm working on my project with my my custom, big custom project. It's, they sent me a third prototype. The manufacturer sent me a third prototype, and there is an unboxing video of it on my channel, which is not public because I'm under NDA and all that sort of crap, but I thought I'd shoot something, and it is uploaded there for maybe, I don't know, later on.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
It's there, and still issues. There's quite a lot of issues. Do you
have a estimated date?
September maybe they're saying, but I think it's going to be longer than that, because they actually came back to me. This is the interesting thing, right? And at this late stage, we're late-ish stage. We're up to the third physical prototype. They come back and said, the processor we've put in this thing, we can't fit everything in. We're going to have to leave out this, the firmware update feature, and
right. Relevant to our previous interests, right? What we were talking about earlier.
Of course.
Right.
And and they said, is it okay if we just run with that, and we can always update the processor later in another revision? And I'm going, that's like the worst possible thing to do, is run with a half-assed product that
Right, stuff you will never actually change, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That is a huge change. So it's the question of, do you push it forwards and delay further?
I've got to convince them now to change the processor in this thing. At this late, and they're saying that they have to rewrite all the software, and I'm going, well, no, you don't. There's another family that's pin compatible, and the tools are the same. It is a microchip. I can tell you now, it's got a PIC 24F something or other, right? So it's got 16-bit PIC. You know.
Yeah, and it's a huge set of families, like a huge set of parts, though, too. Like,
oh, yeah, I know,
from, right?
massive set of parts. Well, it's actually a 64K one, and I'm going, well, why can't you just drop in? There is a 128K part available, and I said, well, why can't you just drop in a 128K part? Will that be enough? You know,
right,
and they're going, oh, we might have to move to a 32-bit part, and I'm going, well, Microchip make 32-bit pin-compatible ones with their 24F series, so you know, and that's one of the big selling points that Microchip use is that, you know, seamless platform from 8 to 32 bits. You know, very little grief in actually changing processors, in terms of either software or, you know, even the actual pinout. As I said, you can get identical 32-bit pinout versions of the 16-bit parts. How cool is that? You know, that's really cool. That's very convenient. So anyway, but not being there with them is difficult. You know, it's not like we can all just sit in a meeting room and, you know, do it because
you mean like working remotely?
Yeah,
right. That is
remotely.
I know the struggles of that.
And it's I'm one company removed, so I'm dealing with one company who's then dealing with another company in Taiwan who's actually doing the design and manufacture and language.
Yeah, you almost need like a permission slip to just like go there and sit with them for a couple of days.
Yeah, it's you know.
Yeah, nothing beats that. I mean, if people think that
totally.
It's nothing.
Nothing beats physically being there.
Like that is worth 16-hour days. Just make sure you can get everything out. You know,
I agree.
Yeah,
yep.
Like production heaven or productivity heaven rather.
Absolutely. Be it a design like this, or be it being on the physical production line where your things nothing beats being there and solving problems on the spot. You know. Yeah.
Yes. The downside, of course, being. Jet lag and all the other usual stuff.
So anyway, I was talking about the software fitting, you know, and like even if it fitted, right? That is, maybe we've talked about this before, perhaps, but that's probably the worst thing you can do is actually go into production with a product where your firmware just fits.
Oh yeah! Oh my God!
In the processor, because it leaves no room for fixing bugs, adding features, you know, doing. I mean, I think
fixing bugs is the big one, of course.
Right.
But I think the adding features like that is the reason to have firmware in the first place, right? I mean, like.
Oh yeah, like, exactly.
So like that Zoom H1 mic that we talked about. You remember when we got that? We both got that at the same time. We were both really excited about this little handheld microphone for $99. It sounded great, whatever.
It was great.
And then later we got a firmware update that said, "Oh yeah, by the way, this now acts as a USB mic."
Exactly. How much extra firmware was added to do that? Lots, I'm sure.
Probably like a whole USB. Maybe it wasn't just finalizing the firmware driver, but who cares?
Yeah.
The fact that it then operated perfect, and that is how I record everything on the road now.
Exactly.
Every amp hour episode you hear when I'm in a hotel room is through there. So that
I know
obviously benefited us.
It was a firmware update feature. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why, I have to look at the code and see how close they are, and you know, like maybe we can get away with the 128K part, you know, which is double. I mean, that's a fair lot, you know, double. If they're saying, we're going to have to leave out this feature, then they're pretty close to the 64K. So 128K might be enough.
And some people would say, oh, well, then you start writing stuff in assembly and you optimize. And it's
right.
like, you can, but
then
that causes other issues of like productivity and actually getting stuff out quicker. And
then you've got to
retest
retest it. All your testing's got to go, you know,
right. You lose visibility, and so chasing bugs is harder too.
Yeah, it's just, nightmare. Yeah, anyway, so that's what I'm working on at the moment. So I've got to find time in the next couple of days because the guy, the head of the CEO of the company I'm dealing with is headed to Taiwan next week. And he wants my thoughts so that he can relay them directly to them when he goes there. So, you know.
You should be hopping on a plane right now, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yep. It may come down to that. As it gets closer, you might find me in South Korea. Sorry, I said Taiwan. Cool. I keep saying Taiwan when I mean Korea. Why am I doing that? Yes, sorry. It's been designed and manufactured in South Korea.
Gotcha.
So, yep.
Cool.
So, yeah.
I remembered one other thing I wanted to mention from my travels that I thought was really cool, and I didn't have it on the list, but I was at the second conference I went to was called Resonate, and most of it was a little artsy for me.
Right. Yep.
That's the nicest way I could say that. But there was one thing that was really cool, actually. There was this thing called the Wekinator. 2.0.
Do tell.
Yeah, so it's a piece of software. It's a machine learning software, and so the demo itself, and maybe it was just like the demo aura, whatever. But the lady who wrote it, her name is Rebecca Fibrink. I'm not sure. And so she was showing this thing though, where she downsampled a webcam. So basically, instead of like a 640 by 480 or higher,
downsamples
webcam,
to 48 by 48.
10 by 10.
10 by 10. Nice, yeah.
Yeah, super blocky, right? But what it was is basically then you just had basically just like dark and light colors. And what she did though is then she input that as an input to this program and then used it as, I mean, again, I don't know how any of this stuff works, but used it as like training for another output. So she was putting it into like an instrument, she was calling it, and it sounded, it had all these different triggers and sounds and stuff like that. But what I started thinking about was like, okay, so what if you had something similar like this, if you like built it into like a Pi or a BeagleBone or something like that, and then you started using it for like machine vision. I'm sure that this stuff exists, but like it was at an accessible level where like I felt like I could actually use it.
Right.
And the actual the machine learning aspect of it, I like I said, I don't know anything about machine learning really, but this was a very tangible use of it, and so that alone was very intriguing to me. So I'll put a link in the show notes. I'm not sure if there's another, hopefully there's videos or something, but there is also a course for machine learning for artists and musicians, it's called. And I asked during the question section if this could be used for like robotics or something. She said they do have a tie-in for like an Arduino, so you could.
Right.
I think you'd need like a computer tied to an Arduino, probably through the serial port, but still that.
The Arduino is a computer. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't think it could do machine learning though.
Right, it's not granular.
Or processing
okay.
of web stuff. So
right.
yeah, or webcam stuff. So, but maybe like a BeagleBone or a Raspberry Pi or something.
Yeah,
so,
could have the grunt. Yeah,
just that was the coolest thing I saw there for sure. And like in terms of we've talked in the past. We remember we had talked about like human interactions of like how a lot of these things require screens and stuff like that, and then. Me and Omer talked about that stuff a lot too with IoT devices that aren't natural and things like that. And, like if you start actually interacting with humans though, like this is it felt like a step towards that. Again, I don't know if it actually is, but felt like it's worth investigating. So I wanted to share it.
Cool.
Yeah. So.
What have we got last on the list? Because we're over. Oh, there is the Breakthrough Starshot thing for space.
Oh, yeah.
Going to Alpha
cool.
Centauri.
Mm-hmm.
Which of course is cool, but now everyone's coming on the this is impractical bullshit bandwagon, and I don't blame them because just because Stephen Hawking comes out with this idea and he's backing it doesn't mean it's any good, the idea is it doesn't mean it's practical, right? That they send these little hand palm-sized probes to freaking Alpha Centauri, right? It's like engineering practicality. But
if it gets funding, that could be better. If it gets people excited and funding.
Solar Roadway's got funding too. I mean, it's like you've got to do the back of the envelope stuff first and go, no, this is just like not worth spending the money on. Right, but I
that
agree.
That is a good comparison. I wouldn't have normally put those two together.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Okay, so I agree. It's actually a bad comparison because a lot of good can come from basic research on small probes. Definitely,
right.
I can see benefits there. So in that aspect, yes, I don't disagree. That should get funding, but people. Thinking that, this is just easy and we'll send these little palm-sized probes.
Yeah, well, if you have space and easy in the same sentence, you need to recalculate.
Or even practical at all. It's like, no, but, they've got to transmit. Like simple things like power budgets. Even if you've got your thermoelectric generator, your thermoelectric isotope generator in there, a little nuclear power plant putting out 50 watts, right? You've got antennas. Like, how do you transmit from another? Like, you've got to have a physical big size antenna. There's tons of other just basic engineering principles involved in that. So I'm not even sure it's actually will ever be physically possible. I'm not going to say ever, not in 1,000 years or something, but like, I don't know. Something's got to happen drastically to technology to
That sigh you just had was very was defeated sounding.
Well, yeah, sometimes it is. Sometimes you have to admit that ideas are not practical. Not every idea, no matter how good it is practical. And a lot of people have problems with that, accepting that. They think, oh, no, all you need is time, money, enthusiasm, and we can make U-beam work. We can make solar roadways work. We can make the Triton gill work.
I think no, those are not the right comparisons. But space in general, I think space in general requires its own. You know what you need to say.
What?
Anytime someone says, "Oh, we'll just figure it out later with space," you say, "No, space is big, really big. You won't believe how vastly, hugely, mind-boggling big it is."
Anyway, you will never hear me complain about spending money on space. So is wasted because it's not. So I just think it's cool. But I think everyone's, doubt about the practicality of it is probably justified. So anyway, but I haven't looked into it, so I could be wrong. But it's just my initial gut reaction as a practical engineer is that it's like, yeah, good one, Steve. I'll call him Steve. He's a good buddy of mine, Steve Hawking.
Like, who does Steve?
Oh, dear. Yep. Is that it?
All right, man.
Is that it? Is that our list?
Yeah.
Cool.
I did like Stars. You saw the Forrest Mims.
I agree. It's good. I haven't actually seen the final. I heard the news. I didn't actually see the final. It looks like she raised the money.
Yeah. She hit her target, so
cool.
Doubled it. Yeah, so
doubled it. Nice. Oh, hang on. It's got Forrest's signature on the bottom of the boards. I just noticed that. Oh, that's
she's
sweet.
Working with Forrest.
Yeah. I know. That's cool. Okay. Right. No, sorry. I just scrolled down and saw the real photos, and it's got his original hand drawn schematic on the back with his signature in gold flash. That's classy. Well done.
Travel. So if you're going to be around Maker Faire, let me know. Mike Harrison is actually going to be at Maker Faire as well.
Yes, he is. So I heard.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. All right, man. Well, we will have a guest next week. I'm pretty excited about him, but we're going to be talking chip design next week.
Sweet.
Fancy that. Mostly me and Dave will be going, what?
Unless he's been made redundant in the meantime, and then
no, he's a professor.
Another show.
He's a professor. So, yeah, right. All right, man. We'll talk to you then.
Catch you next time.
I got a message from Alicia. She said that someone complained about our podcast to them.
What?
Yeah,
they complained about our podcast
to Embedded.
To Embedded.
Yes.
Why?
I have no idea. But what I was thinking is that all feedback for the Amp Hour should go to show@embedded.fm.
Why not? Hey.
Yeah, he's great.
It's one less thing we have to do.
Exactly.
I like the sound of that.